Star-studded Drag Isn't Dangerous Telethon raises over $500,000. The Drag Isn't Dangerous livestream telethon, hosted by Justin Martindale, Alaska 5000, Peppermint, and Adam Shankman, and created by Producer Entertainment Group, raised more than $500,000 for LGBTQ+ charities. The event saw performers including RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars 7 winner Jinkx Monsoon, Wesley Rogers, Bob the Drag Queen, and more take to the stage in both live and pre-tape performances to help raise money for organizations benefiting the queer community. Along with performances, the event also featured a number of testimonials from LGBTQ+ entertainers and noted allies such as Margaret Cho, Adam Lambert, Charlize Theron, Silverman, and Melissa McCarthy, who spoke out against the rampant discrimination being faced by LGBTQ+ people everywhere. In one of the most blistering statements of the evening, RuPaul's Drag Race judge, Michelle Visage, blasted state legislatures aiming to restrict drag performances. All proceeds from the event are being split among a pool of charities, including GLAAD, GLSEN, Headcount, Black Queer Town Hall, the ACLU Drag Defense Fund, Trans Justice Funding Project, and the Victory Fund to support and defend drag performers against anti-drag legislation in states such as Tennessee and Florida. Wow, wow, wow. If there's one thing drag queens can do is raise money.
That's the truth. $1 at a time.
$1 at a time. My gosh, 500,000, that is quite a sum. Mm-hmm. I am so happy that it's going towards organizations that are supporting trans performers, because as you know, as a trans performer myself, we're being villainized, we're being attacked. This is basically war for us. And
not basically.
It is a war. And the money is going to help so much with supporting the drag performers who are being attacked with these legislation.
Yeah, and overall, the initiative really points out the good that can come from the community as well. A community that's being portrayed as being, evil. It actually the power that is behind that community, and the good that they can do.
There is, and one of the things that I get offended by is when anyone in the media or in the law and politics says every drag queen does this, every gay person does, and that's an untrue statement. I'm a firm believer, if you change the way you look at a thing, the thing you're looking at will change. Well, what are you looking at? Yes, there are these type of people in every community, in every race, in every culture, in every sexual orientation. But the fact of the matter is, there's also wonderful stuff in the drag shows. There's wonderful stuff in the gay community. There's wonderful stuff in the black community. And let's look at that stuff. Change the way you look at a thing, the thing you're looking at will change.
Well, and that's how these rhetoric get put forward, because by demonizing just one person, right, you can say that, one drag queen is bad and therefore all drag queens are bad. Exactly. One gay person is bad and therefore all gay persons are bad.
Exactly.
But we don't turn around and say one straight person commit murder and therefore all straight persons are murderers.
Right.
So, it's, but it's to trigger the fear of the unknown with people who don't live in city centers, with people who don't live anywhere near an LGBTQ community. They paint this picture of a horror show of, debaucherous, Sodom and Gomorrah type of situation. I mean, trust me, Whitman is not that.
Yeah.
I wish.
And to that point, I think interesting, because once you establish this is what they're doing, the required question is, why are they doing it? And in this instance with drag queens, in 1994, RuPaul went to VH1 and did that first talk show as a drag queen. And through the time of doing that talk show, you never read in the 1990s that RuPaul and the VH1 show that she was doing was grooming children. No, whether you liked drag or whether you hated drag, RuPaul, there was not opposition to RuPaul because she was grooming children.
Right.
In the 2000s, as drag became more and more popular, leading up to Logo's launch of RuPaul's Drag Race. RuPaul's Drag Race operated, and there was not a wide segment of America saying, this must stop because they're grooming children and it's dangerous for our children and they shouldn't be on television, and MTV and Viacom shouldn't be involved in this, and let's have a boycott because they're grooming children. That did not happen. You might not have liked drag, or you might not have liked the LGBTQ community, but they did not make the connection to say you're grooming and destroying our children.
Let me say, there is no connection. There really is no connection. I think what's happened in our society is the gay and lesbian youth and transgender youth are more comfortable to be more open and come out and share their orientation early. And I think society is getting scared of it. It's always been like that. It's just that back in the day, you know, a gay man might not come out till he's 60, married with 2 kids. Now he can come out. So he lived his life living how he didn't want to. But today, because they're coming out so much earlier, I think there's a society fear of that. Well, what's causing that? Well, the drag queens must be forcing that on the kids.
And it's not society. It's a small percentage that are doing it for power and money to hold on to control. That's what's causing the fear. One last thought before we move on. Bobby's got to jump in for the next story. I worked with RuPaul's Drag Race for a lot of years. 7 years I worked with RuPaul's Drag Race. I congratulate specifically at Producers Entertainment. I worked with him for years, David Charpentier, who runs a producer entertainment group, which was behind this event. And I specifically call out Jinkx Monsoon, the winner of All Stars. RuPaul's Drag Race had the most successful season in 2022 in history, 22-23, which was All Stars season 7, and Jinkx wins it. Jinkx is evolutionary in terms of someone that goes on and represents the drag community spectacularly in entertainment in so many different ways. I congratulate Jinkx because at the end of the day, Tennessee and Florida and Texas are not going to be able to sell to America that Jinkx Monsoon is dangerous for children and that Jinkx Monsoon is grooming children. They are not going to be able to sell this to America. And this was the starting point, which is why I congratulate World of Wonder and David Charpentier at Producers Entertainment, because they've drawn a line in the sand. Yes, congratulations on the $500,000, but far more important, they've drawn a line in the sand that says, we now are going to fight. And this is the start where entertainers, the LGBT community, but allies, we have tons and tons of allies that are going to say, we're not going to accept this, and Tennessee and Florida and Texas are not going to be able to sell this to America, and now we're going to fight. And that's why this story, I think, is so important. We are Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only live daily LGBTQ+ evening news show from Happening Out Television Network. In the model of PBS and NPR, we educate, inform, and entertain by supporting the 10 pillars of the LGBTQ+ community, with more than 100,000 a week watching on Roku, Apple Television, and other channels. To keep the stories going, we accept donations with 100% transparency. Stay updated and live authentically with Queer News Tonight.